Hey guys, welcome back to Time Tenshi. This is TJ, your gamer girl, signing on. My god! Anyway, last episode, Kyo and Rose got sent to the mid-1700s China, and we actually got to go through. Kenji went through. And so far, nothing bad has happened, but give it time to give it time. Kyo said within the next 48 hours, let her know. So now we're in the entertainment room with Kyo, just hanging out. Alright, all set up. Ready to play me? Sure, what are we playing? Generic beat-em-up fighter 5 Revenge of the Repentant. Sure. Oh, that's a good title. I'd play that. It sounds really dumb. Yeah, well, that's all we've got right now, so take it or leave it. Oh. Okay. Sure. Wanna play with me? Okay. I couldn't help it. I couldn't. She huffed, then looked at me and giggled, handing me the controller. While we played, I noticed that she played a character with a whip, and that her movements mirrored Kyo quite a... Okay. The title sounded like a parody of Street Fighter, but it sounds like she's actually doing Ivy Valentine from Soul Calibur. And she tended to kick my butt in most of the rounds. And by most, I mean all. Dang! Step up your game, Kenji! Hey, you've got the advantage of actually knowing how to play in advance. Fair enough. Say, the character you play as. Vine? Yeah, what about Vine? Even that! That is a point towards Ivy. She seems to have a familiar fighting style to yours. Oh, so you're figuring me out, huh? Yep, I pretty much learned how to fight through this game. What? But how's that possible? That sounds totally silly. I mean, I practiced on my own too, but I always loved how delicate yet forceful Vine was when she fought. So I started studying really closely, taking notes and taking pictures of certain moves. Then I started taking lessons and practicing in my downtime between college courses, and before I knew it, I could use a whip like no one's business. Where'd you take lessons? Let's save that story for another day, shall we? Well, that's questionable. I could see her face go red once again before picking up the controller for another round. We played for the rest of the day, laughing and smack-talking until we nearly passed out. Michelle suddenly entered the room at 11 p.m. Alright, you two, it's getting late. Off to bed. Aww, one more match. Come on, Michelle. I almost said Kyo. No more matches. Off to bed. We have some research to do tomorrow, and we also need to be ready at all times in case Krontek is up to anything. So off to bed, both of you. No fun. Alright, fine. Nick, Kenji. She tackled me in yet another embrace on the couch and giggled before releasing me, standing and heading towards her room. I stood and did the same, looking over at Michelle before I left, who gave me a quick smirk. Glad you're doing alright, Kenji. I have to say, it's quite a relief. Yeah, same. But thank you, Michelle. Talk to her about what happened! For what? If anything, Kyo did all the work today. Yeah, I guess so. Michelle looked at me for a moment before rolling her eyes and pointing towards my room. Alright, Romeo, off to bed. You never know what tomorrow will bring. Oh, wait, what is that supposed to mean? Whatever you wanted to. Now, bed. She guided me to my room before gently closing the door. I stepped over to my bed and collapsed into it, still fully clothed, more exhausted than I had realized. It turned out time traveling drained more energy from me than I initially thought. You all did quite well yesterday. Thank you, Commander. We're doing our best to make your goals a reality. Keep up the good work. Now that we have all the information we need to shift gears into phase 2. Just lay low for a few days, both of you. We'll be able to enact Project Paradox very soon. Yes, Commander. She seems to be in good spirits. All the pieces are falling together exactly as they needed to. And when the time is right, we'll be able to put our theory to the test. But don't you find she's planning to be a tad... cruel? Cruelty is subjective. If it's in the name of science, then risks must be taken, even if lives are sacrificed in the process. Whatever you say, Mizuki. Uh-oh. I awoke to the smell of something sweet wafting into my nose. I'm still getting used to this bed. I stood, stretching my back. Not long after, a knocking was heard from my door. Come in? The door swung open, revealing Rose, smiling happily. Hello there, sleepyhead. Ready for breakfast? I could use a hand in the kitchen. Of course. And so what's on the menu this time, Rose? Well, I was thinking either Belgian waffles or scones. But if you wanted to go old-fashioned, I can whip up a stack of flapjacks as well. Pancakes? Yes, Kenji. Pancakes. Right. Hey, come on! I could use another hand. I was making some from Michelle, since she hasn't left the lab since earlier this morning. What has she been up to? The same old. Making sure everything is up and running at top-notch speed. She keeps this operation running sometimes, I swear. Now, hand me those eggs over there. Right, gotcha. For a while, we just exchanged small talk back and forth, cooking with smiles on our faces as I slowly woke up. I could tell there was a look of worry on Rose's face, however. Rose? Is everything alright? Huh? Oh, everything is just fine, Kenji, don't worry. I was just ruminating over some things. Such as? Kenji, you don't need to worry. They're such trivial matters. Rose, look. I'm here for everyone in this lab, alright? I don't want you worried about me. Oh, it's not about that, silly. I know you're fine. You're up and walking and talking just fine. Oh? Well, what's up? I think I need to do some recalculations with the time window. How so? My brassiere has been a bit tight, lady. Lately, I think my bosom has grown a tad bit in the past week. Her face went a deep pink hue, and I could tell by the heat of my own that it was doing the same. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said anything. It's just, sometimes I worry that the time windows of X are more long-term than short-term, and that all these trips are slowly adding up with the future. Have you discussed this with the other girls? With my grandpa? No. After all, this could all be natural anyway. I could still be developing on my own. Still? My outburst seemed to put her off, embarrassing her further and making her look off to the side. I tried to recover quickly. They're already smooth, Kenji. I know, Kenji. I'm massive. When I go through the time window, they just get... She puts her hands to them, lifting each one alternatively to emphasize her awareness of their size. I didn't know if I could handle such a giant size permanently. I mean, you deal with them well enough through the time window. Back pains. Seriously. Yes, but that's because I've only had them for a short while. Even in the small time through there, my back aches and shoulder strain. I don't want to complain about such superficial things, but this is my body that's constantly warping and changing every time I go through the time window. And beep, beep, beep. Oh, flapjacks. Rose turned suddenly on her heels to the sound. Unfortunately, I was a bit too close to her, causing her to trip into me. Oh dear. Classic ecchi. Just classic ecchi. We both fell to the floor, tumbling all the way down, with me landing on top of Rose and my face directly between her boobs. I kept it there for a moment, my brain not registering what was going on, then registering what was going on and not registering who it was for some reason, then finally... Oh gosh, Rose! Either this one or the one before is gonna be the thumbnail. I backed my head up so quickly that I whipped my head into the metal oven behind me. Smacking it so hard it let out a metal wham. Ouch. Kenji! Oh goodness, are you okay? Despite the recent events, Rose was still by my side, looking at the back of my head as I rubbed it with my hand tenderly. Yeah, it wasn't the best place to put my face. It's fine, Kenji. I mean, you could have done much worse while you were in there. He could have. We both looked at each other, me on top of Rose, before we slowly started to laugh, half out of nerves and half out of the awkwardness of the situation. Just as the laughing fit reached its end, I looked up at the doorway and saw someone. Having fun, you two? Grandpa! This isn't... I get that you're both young, but please, try to at least be quiet about it. Tensai! It's not like that! Whatever you say, dear. Now then, are those flapjacks burning, or is my nose just not working today? Oh gosh! Rose went into a fit of motions, rushing over to the oven. Just as she opened it, a plume of smoke blasted into her face, causing her to cough. Are you okay, Rose? Just fine, Kenji. Are you sure, dear? She nodded, waving the smoke away from her face. Alright, well, I need Kenji to be over in the lab for a bit. Michelle wanted to have a word with him real quick before the next time window trip. She nodded again and gave a thumbs up, still getting a few coughs out. I was a bit reluctant, but I agreed, promising to spend more time with her after I was through my business with Michelle. You wanted to see me, Michelle? Yes, Kenji. I wanted to ask if you were feeling alright. After all, going through a time window isn't necessarily a safe thing to do when untested. I feel fine, actually. You haven't tested on male subjects before? Most subjects we tested in the time window's early stages, regardless of gender, tended not to survive long after their trip. Oh. Were not, Kenji? They showed many signs of health decline immediately upon their return. I'm not one to trust with these matters anyhow. Kyo was the medical expert at the facility. I just worked the technology. About that, how long did it actually take you to create the time window device? And how does it actually work? Explaining the time window isn't a necessarily simple thing to do. In fact, it's near impossible to do in layman's terms. So let me think for a moment. She sat back in her chair, her legs crossed, tapping her foot against the ground in thought. I merely stood there watching her, letting her think. It was only a while later that I realized that I was staring at her legs as they tapped. She seemed to take notice midway through her thoughts. Like what you see, Kenji? What? Man, I'm sorry, Michelle. Oh, don't play coy with me, Kenji. Don't think I haven't noticed you getting all cozy with the other girls while I'm toiling away here in the lab. You're a bit green for me, but I wouldn't say you're completely out of your league. Michelle, what are you saying? You are one of the most dense guys I've ever had the pleasure of speaking to. You're in a lab with 3 hot girls who have basically been throwing themselves at you, and you still haven't gotten any action. Just how dumb are you? Classic harem protagonist. Unless you're talking about Issei from High School DD. Hey, look, Bishop. Just because I'm a guy doesn't mean, yeah. Sammy the man doesn't just think with his crotch. Like, sure, if you switched out any other guy in your position, regardless how nerdy they were, they would have seen some sort of action by now. So, she stood, walking slowly and seductively towards me, adjusting her top and fidgeting. Oh my god! I am throwing an opportunity in your lap right now, Kenji, and it's up to you to take it. So, Michelle, I'm a guy. It's obvious that in any other circumstance, I wouldn't hesitate for a second. But we're in a lab. My grandfather's lab, with 2 other girls around. My parents died 3 years ago, and I'm not exactly in the best place mentally. Also, I barely have any idea who you are, aside from the fact that you dress in incredibly risque for your type of work. Judgmental little sap, aren't we? Look, it's just that... Before I could finish my sentence, Michelle swiftly pulled out a cane from behind her and tripped up my legs, causing me to fall to the ground. Oh! Michelle's getting some action! Michelle's getting in on it! Okay, you know what? Screw that. This is a thumbnail. And I just got a nice title, too. Once there, she sat on top of me, straddling my abdomen. Straddling me by the abdomen. Michelle, what are you... I've been working so hard down here, Kenji. I think I deserve some fun and downtime just like the other girls. So try me. Her face lowered, getting close to mine. Her chest pushed against mine, her cleavage pouring into my vision. It's not like that at all! I shuffled from side to side in protest. Michelle just looked at me, stunned for a second, then burst out laughing. After she collected herself, she addressed me. You're so heroic, you know that, Mr. Gentleman? Hold on. Do you think that'll get me to like you more now? Michelle, you don't get it. Not all guys are sex-hungry maniacs, okay? I'm not trying to be some holier-than-thou type A personality. This is just who I am. I'm treating you like people. Why is that a bad thing? For a while, she was silent. Then she smirked, letting out a soft chuckle. It isn't Kenji. In fact, that's what I wanted to hear. Such a big man for such a young one at that. Sorry I doubted you. So what, you're just testing me or something? I guess you could say that. Although guys like to put on this guise of honor and respect, but don't mean a word of it. I'm happy to see that you actually do. Even in the midst of a woman literally throwing herself at you. I'm sure most guys would roll their eyes and hate you for acting in such a way, but as a woman, I respect that. She stood, brushing herself off. Well, I thought she was going to get some action. Now then, the girls are going to be going back for a trip today. Since you seem to be okay, would you like to join them? Oh, do you think that's safe? I mean, it could have just been a fluke or something. Oh, come now, Kenji. Don't try to butter me up with this manly man nonsense just to wuss that on me now. Do you want in or not? I'm sure both the girls would love you to join them. Sure, I guess. If you're looking out for us, I mean. Of course, Kenji, I always am. She smiled one of the warmest smiles I'd seen from her, reassuring me of my decision. She dismissed me, telling me to get ready, and I returned to my room to rest for a bit. Before I could relax for too long, however, I heard a knock on my door. I stood and walked over, seeing Rose at the entrance. Hey. Oh, a Rose. Hey, are you doing okay? I'm fine. I just wanted to apologize for freaking out earlier. What? No, you had a perfectly valid reason to be worrying, Rose. I mean, the effects of the time window really don't seem to be a joke. You aren't nervous either? Michelle told me that you were coming on the next trip through with us. You're not fearful of what might happen? Well, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a bit nervous. But she had a point. Nothing happened when I went through for the first time, and both you and Kyo seem to have consistent results. So, I guess it just doesn't affect male subjects in the same way. Or at least guys my age, maybe? You're starting to sound like Michelle. Oh, we're analyzing everything. Oh, yeah, I was just talking with her about some things for a bit. Really? Like what? Oh, you know, science stuff. Like bodily effects from the time window, that kind of stuff. Alright. That's a small thing to talk about, I suppose. We stood there for a moment in silence before I finally spoke up. Did you want to come inside and talk for a bit before the next trip? Oh, yes, of course, I'd be delighted. I went over to my bed and sat on the side. And to my surprise, she sat next to me rather than at the chair. She seemed to take notice of that thought through my nervous shuffle in place. Ooh, I'm sorry, am I sitting too close? What? No, you're fine. I don't mind at all. Good. Oh, good. Glad. She beamed yet another smile at me. I'd never noticed how dazzling her smile was until I saw it a bit more up close. I cleared my throat. So, anything on your mind lately? Well, there was something I wanted to bring up in my last conversation. I just wasn't sure how comfortable you would be with the subject. But since you seem to be a bit relaxed after that episode in the kitchen, I suppose it's fine to talk about it. Yeah, go for it. Shoot. Well, what are your thoughts on breasts that are larger size? Oh, that kind of question. Forget it. The title is Boob Talk. We both looked at each other, then away, Rose fiddling with her fingers and in her lap as I carefully thought about my answer. If I'm being truthful, the larger ones are nice. And if they fit a girl, they look good too. You think so? Of course. You ashamed of your body or something? Well, at times I wonder if they've gotten a tad too big over the years. It's embarrassing to think of myself as a scientist with these big melons. Huh? Chill out, I'm joking. They look good on you, I promise. Boobs are in everything, Rose, so don't stress about it. Yes, I suppose. As cliched and cheesy as it may be, I suppose so. I learned back in high school that just because something is cliche, that doesn't mean it's necessarily a bad thing. Things become cliche for a reason. They get repeated so many times because they make sense, sometimes they're even obvious. So when I say, Rose, I think your breasts, while they may be large, look nice, I mean it. I think it would also be beautiful if you were flat as a board. Honestly, I do. While I said all this, I had been looking down at my hands, just rambling. When I finally finished what I had to say, I looked up at Rose. Are we doing this again? She was staring at me intently, a deep blush on her face. Her body was close. I could feel the heat radiating off her. When I realized what I had said, I blinked over and looked away. You really feel that way, Kenji? I don't see how anyone couldn't, Rose. I don't see how you couldn't see yourself as beautiful. Rose, are you okay? Let's just say that intelligence doesn't always equate to beauty. Well, that's just nonsense then. I think brains are incredibly attractive in a girl. I mean, seriously, I think that's important for most people to have some sort of intelligence. Well, you're just stating the obvious at this point, Kenji. I honestly lost track of what I was saying. You were telling me how beautiful I was. I didn't take you as a vain person, Rose. Shut up! She shoved me, which I wasn't expecting. I fell over laughing. Rose giggling next to me. I slowly got back up on the bed, sitting next to her. We both just sat there and laughed, enjoying each other's company. Then we became silent. What is it with this pose? This was the same pose that she had when I fell on top of her. Then we became silent, just looking at each other. Rose turned on the bed, facing me. Her face that of solemn interest. I'd even say desire. She got closer to me, and I went with it, our faces slowly getting closer until... Alright, Kenji, Rose, I need you both on the... Ah! I stumbled back at my grandfather's intrusion, collapsing off the bed and onto the floor. Tensai! There's such a thing as knocking, you know! My apologies, but we do have some matters to... I accidentally hit the space bar and... Okay, my apologies, but we do have some matters to attend to that are quite important. Feel free to pick this up when you get back. Tensai, please! With that, Rose charged down the room, past Tensai and into our room, likely getting ready for the next trip. I looked up at him, a forlorn look on his face. Sorry about that. It's fine. Didn't really know where I was going with that anyways. I don't think I believe you, Kenji. And I don't think you do either. But anyway, feel free to come out to the lab when you're ready. With that, he exited, leaving me to lay there in embarrassment, but also with a real sense of glee swelling inside of me. It was the first time that week when something occurred that actually seemed to take my mind off all the things that had happened to me lately. And it felt good. Alright, this is where I'm going to stop the episode. We'll continue this next time. Till then, this is the Gamer Girl signing off. Bye bye.